Hi, I'm Gary White for Channel 6 Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with Terry Mills, who is from Marion County and was a state representative covering Marion County as well as LaRue and Greene County for several years, and has filed to run again, right? For
that is correct.
The 2018 election.
2018 election. The primary is in May and the general election is in November, of course.
Okay. So, Terry, how long were you representative for our area?
I served for 6 years and 11 months to be exact. I was sworn in February 2010 and my term ended after the last election, which I lost, December of 2016.
Okay, and was that, why did you start in February? Was it a special?
It was a special election. A lot of people will
After
remember
Jimmy.
when Jimmy Higdon left the House and ran for the Senate job. And Jimmy won that race, and that created a vacancy, and there was a special election, and then later that year there was a general election, and I had to win both of those two elections to get my first full term.
So
and then I won 2 more elections after that. Yes.
So you've had several elections.
Yeah,
campaigns
well,
in the
I've
past.
had a total of 6 campaigns. So I consider myself kind of a slow learner, but I should know by now how to campaign for political office.
And the last election that you lost to the current state representative, Brandon Reed,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in November of 2016.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So, Terry, you decided to run again this year. What made you decide to run?
I have, and it wasn't an easy decision for me, Gary. I spent a year out of office, and I tell people jokingly that politics is a disease, and even after you get out, you still you're in recovery for a period of time. So I did a lot of reading, and I followed what happened in our legislature, in the Kentucky government, pretty closely, and had a great year, by the way, with my family. Got to know my grandkids better than ever. Did a lot of babysitting, and I'm truly, truly in love with my family. But even considering that, I felt a strong urge to put myself out there again, primarily because I don't agree with some of the things that are happening in our Kentucky government right now. I can name three things briefly, and there's a lot to be said about each area. But one, I believe our economy has been doing well. It's done well the last year, and it did well under the Beshear administration. We're creating jobs. We're winning awards for creating jobs and getting out there, and that's great. That's wonderful, and I want it to continue. But I see the first thing that happened last winter when the Republicans took control of the State House was some laws passed that I believe hurt working people. They're designed to keep wages low, and I believe that's bad for our economy. I believe it's a pretty well-known fact that wages have been stagnant all over the country, whereas the corporations, the big corporations especially, have money piled up like never before. And so I want to put myself out there to stand up for working people and better wages. And it's not just better wages, it's better life. It's better for their families, for their kids. And when we passed Kentucky passed a right to work law, which in my opinion lowers wages. They repealed the prevailing wage law, which cuts wages for construction workers, and just absolutely refused to discuss raising the minimum wage for working people. This, to me, hurts middle and lower income workers. I believe I heard there were something like 18 states who passed an increase in the minimum wage law that went into effect January 2018. And ours is still $7.25, hasn't changed in about 10 years. And I just believe it's bad for the middle and low income workers. And to be frank, we have plenty of people speaking up for the corporations and that side of our economy, but not enough people speaking up for low wage workers and middle income folks. So that's one of the reasons. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that I disagree with some of the things that are going on in public education. We passed a charter school bill last winter. The first thing the Republicans did, one of the first things when they took control. And there's probably a place for charter schools. I'm a public school guy. It was good for me. It's good for people I've seen. I believe everybody gets an equal education with public schools, and by passing a charter school law, we have at least the potential of taking away funding from public schools. And I'm not in favor of that. So that's the other things has to do with public education. And along the lines of public education, our pension systems, as everybody knows, is in crisis, and we need to make changes. I happen to believe that the change that the governor proposed was just wrong for our teachers and our state workers. Mm-hmm. It was just overkill. It was even mean-spirited. And thank goodness, the governor said he was going to have a special session to solve the pension crisis, and thank goodness our teachers and public employees exercised their right they have in a democracy and spoke loud and clear, and that hasn't been done yet. Now, supposedly, the legislature now is working on a new plan, which it disappoints me that it's being done pretty much in secret. Nobody knows what it is yet. Mm-hmm. And it just, I don't like that part of what, you put the two things I've named so far, working people and public schools together, and I don't like what's going on there. And another thing is health care. Governor Bevin has proposed a waiver to the Affordable Care Act, which a lot of people say will take thousands of people off of Medicaid. And I did support during Governor Beshear's administration the expansion of Medicaid. I mean, the information I had said it would create about 17,000 jobs. Insured, it's well documented how many more people got insured when Governor Beshear did that. I believe it was about 4,200 people in the 24th district that became insured when he made that, I thought, bold decision. And sure, it costs money. But if you look at the jobs it created, the argument was that the jobs it created and what that did for the economy offset the cost. And you can look around, not just the statistics, you can look around and see in the last few years all these small medical facilities that have opened up in our communities. Mm-hmm. You've got the urgent care, you've got some other facilities that have opened up and expanded. I know it's important, expansion is important for our local hospital in Lebanon in order to be sustained, to keep going. So I think we can do better in healthcare. I think we can do better in public education, and I think we can do better for working people. And that's the crux of what caused me to make my decision. I feel an obligation to try to do something about it. You can fuss and moan and groan, but to put yourself out as a candidate gives you a forum in which to speak about it. And come November, there's another side to that. I understand that. And come November, people will make a choice. And I just want the voters to have information about both sides. So there you have my side, and I'm sure Representative Reed will have his side. One other thing about what's going on that's really bothered me, the House of Representatives is in a mess right now. We had a lot of problems when it was under controlled by the Democrats, but I don't think anything like this. I mean, we've got factions amongst the Republican Party. We've got a sex scandal going on. We've got ethics investigations. We don't know who the Speaker of the House is going to be. And this is at a time when we need to be dealing with tax reform and our pension crisis and helping the opioid crisis. We need to be dealing with issues rather than, I wanted to say play
Scandal.
games, but it's not playing games, but rather than scandals. That's right. So I felt kind of passionate about it, and it took a lot to get me passionate enough to try again, Gary. But I'm going to give it my all. And out of those 6 elections, I've won some and I've lost now, so I know how to win and lose. And I want to run a campaign that's based on honesty and integrity and decency. And I think those things, in a lot of ways, are missing in politics now. So.
And what has the feedback been for you as you've traveled through the 24th district? And again, you had filed as a Democrat who will be running for election for the 24th district, which includes Marion, LaRue, and Greene counties, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, and you know, I don't really have feedback at this point for this campaign. I know well what happened in the last campaign, and I do need to add to your introduction. You know, I did represent Casey County and
Correct.
Pulaski County the first half of my term. So I after redistricting occurred, that's when I gained Greene and LaRue, and so I tried my best to build up support in those counties. But you know, I'm an outsider. Representative Reed lives in LaRue County, and Greene County is a predominantly Republican county. So it's been difficult to do that, but I'm going to keep trying. And one thing I truly believe that if I do serve again, that I represent all the people of the district equally. Not one county, not one person better than another, not based on race, religion, wealth, or anything. I plan to treat everybody the same.
Now, a big issue that a lot of people are discussing, as we said, was the pension and the proposal that was presented by the governor. But whether you like that proposal or not, there is a pension issue that needs to be addressed.
No doubt
somehow.
about it. No doubt about it.
What, if you were able to win, what would you like to see some of that? How would you like to deal with that issue?
Well, I'm a believer in a defined benefit plan, and I don't claim to know all the complexities of a defined benefit or defined contribution plan, but in a defined benefit, a worker after working a career is guaranteed a pension, and it's basically, to reduce it to its simplest form, it's a defined benefit. You pay it in, you're guaranteed a pension that hopefully gives you a secure retirement. A defined contribution is one where you're guaranteed to pay in, but that guarantee after retirement is not there. So for that simple reason, I'm in favor of a defined benefit plan. I believe it's better for working people. I mean, if a person works all their life, they shouldn't have uncertainty and risk at the end of that working career. So we have, for the most part now, a defined benefit system. Now, we changed some of that, and a lot of people don't realize that we made some changes in 2013 to the pension system, which have helped some, not enough, have helped some. And many people projected over a long period of time, which you can only look at pension solution over a long period of time, because we can't come up with $50 billion this year, you know, when this whole state government takes in 11 or 12 billion. So it's a long-term solution. Many people argue that that helps, has helped some, but the opponents of the current system are, of course, tearing it down and saying we need to revamp it. So I'm in favor of a defined benefit system over a defined contribution. What the proposal by the governor and the Republicans does so far is switch everybody to a defined contribution, where again you have a defined amount to pay in, but you share the risk of 401k. And I've talked to people who've had 401ks, and you know, if it was going to keep going like it is now, everybody would be rich in America under a 401k plan, but it's not going to, and it hasn't in the past. So a defined benefit. Now, in addition, the governor's plan calls for 3% pay cut, really, to pay for health insurance. So you're taking 3% of the pay from the teachers and you're switching them from a defined benefit to a defined contribution. And one other thing that the plan calls for, elimination of cost of living increases for 5 years. To me, that's harmful and hurtful. If I own a business and it's a competitive business and I sell stuff, and somebody tells me I can't raise my prices for 5 years, no matter what happens to my cost, I don't think that would be tolerated. And so, and I've said this in committee meetings and when I was in the legislature, if you don't get a cost of living increase, that's fine if the cost of living doesn't go up. But if cost of living goes up, it's a pay cut. So I'm opposed to that. Now, the teachers, a group that backs the teachers has come up with a plan which we need to look at. There have been some other people come up with some plan. I think probably people will need to work longer because we're living a lot longer. It should only affect new hires so that those in the system now that we've made promises to should be kept. And there's a lot, and maybe most of all, we need to have an open debate about it. We need to throw out these ideas. I mean, it really bothered me a little bit when I heard that the governor said nobody has given any ideas. And when actually they have. There have been a lot of groups put out plans, a lot of people, smart people, a whole lot smarter than me, who have put out plans about how to solve the pension crisis without causing so much suffering amongst the working people. So, but bottom line, we've got to do something about pensions. We know that. But what's been proposed so far just is, and again, I say, thank goodness the democratic process worked. And all the people who were affected raised their voices and let the legislators, and honestly, I think a lot of the legislators are kind of running scared from that pension plan that the governor proposed. So we'll see. I mean, it's early in the session, and all I would like to see is something that's fair. Now, this is a broad statement, I know, but something that's fair to the taxpayers and fair to the people who give their life to public service. And there's no jobs probably as critical as people who teach our kids. So we got to solve the pension crisis. I won't say I have all the answers, but what has been proposed so far is just not good.
Well, again, I'm talking with Terry Mills, who is from Marion County and has filed as a Democrat for the 24th District, which includes Marion County, as well as LaRue County and Greene County, and will be on the ballot for both the primary in May as well, and then unless somebody else files,
I get beat in May,
then for November's 2018 election.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, Gary, it's an honor for you to have me out here. This is something I take serious. The decision to run again was not something I take lightly. I assure you and all your viewers I put a lot of thought into it, prayer, discussions with my family, and I want to make Kentucky better. I want to make this district better. That's my only goal, my ultimate goal. I want to serve.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
White, Channel 6, Central Kentucky Television.